Hello everyone and welcome back to another lesson on Photoshop. Today we're going to be talking about layer blending modes. Now, blending modes are an effect that you can add to a layer to change how the colors blend with colors on lower layers. You can change the look of your illustration or photo simply by changing the blending modes. To accomplish a blend mode effect, you will need at least two layers, a base layer and a blend layer. However, you are not limited to two layers. In fact, many blending modes create especially interesting effects when combined with one another. So first off, we're going to be downloading our example photos for this lesson. Vibrant Red Rose Macro on Dark Background by Hayana Fernanda and Hand Touching Glass by Josh Hild. Open them both up in Photoshop. The blending mode of a layer is set to normal by default. Anything drawn with 100% opacity will appear opaque, so the layer underneath isn't visible. You can change how the colors blend with lower levels with lower layers by changing the blending mode. First, we want to get both of our images into the same document so we can see how they affect one another with blending modes. To do so, select Vibrant Red Rose in your workspace. Then navigate down to the Layers panel and click on the layer labeled Background. Then click and drag that layer up to the Hand Touching Glass tab in Photoshop. Then drag it down to the image and release. This should copy the layer on Vibrant Red Rose to be above Hand Touching Glass. Now, to change the blending mode of a layer, simply select the layer and change the mode in the drop-down box. Blending modes are broken up into 6 main parts. The first part is the normal group. These modes either replace or randomly mix pixels without complex calculations. And this category, blend layer opacities, will need to be adjusted for any effects to be noticeable. Normal edits or paints each pixel to make it the result color. This is the default mode, as we mentioned earlier. In bitmap or indexed colored images, normal mode is called threshold. Dissolve edits or paints each pixel to make it the result color, but the result is a random replacement of pixels with either the base color or the blend color, depending on opacity. Behind edits or paints only on the transparent part of the layer. Works only on layers with lock transparency deselected. It is similar to painting on the back of transparent areas on acetate, like old school animators. Clear edits or paints each pixel and makes it transparent. Available only for shape tools when the fill region is selected, paint bucket tool, brush tool, pencil tool, and the fill and stroke commands. You must be in a layer with lock transparency deselected. Next, we have the darken or additive group. These modes create darker results by preserving shadows, midtones, or dark colors from either the base or blend color. Darken looks at color information in each channel and selects the base or blend color, whichever is darker, as the result. Pixels lighter than the blend colors are replaced. Pixels darker than the blend color don't change. Multiply looks at each channel's color information and multiplies the base color by the blend color. The result is always a darker color. Multiplying any color with black produces black. Multiplying with white leaves the color unchanged. When painting with a color other than black or white, successive strokes create progressively darker colors. Color burn looks at each channel's color information and darkens the base color to reflect the blend color by increasing contrast. Blending with white produces no change. Linear burn looks at each channel's color information and darkens the base color to reflect the blend color by decreasing brightness. Blending with white produces no change. Darker color compares the total of all channel values for the blend and base colors and displays the lower value color. Doesn't produce a third color from blending, as it simply chooses the lowest channel values from either the base or blend color. Next, we have the lighten or subtractive group. These modes create lighter results by preserving highlights, midtones, or light colors from either the base or blend layer, basically the opposite of the previous section. Lighten looks at each channel's color information and selects the base or blend color, whichever is lighter, as the result. Pixels darker than the blend color are replaced. Pixels lighter than the blend color don't change. Screen looks at each channel's color information and multiplies the inverse of the blend and base colors. The result is always a lighter color. Screening with black leaves the color unchanged. Screening with white produces white. The effect is similar to projecting multiple photographic slides on top of each other. Color dodge looks at each channel's color information and brightens the base color to reflect the blend mode, or to reflect the blend color by decreasing contrast. Blending with black produces no change. Linear dodge, add, looks at each color information and brightens the base color to reflect the blended color by increasing brightness. Blending with black produces no change. Lighter color compares the total of all channel values for the blend and base colors and displays the higher value color. Doesn't produce a third color from blending, as it simply chooses the highest channel values from either the base or blend color. Next, we have the contrast group. This is quite frankly my favorite group of all of our layer blending modes. These modes increase contrast by darkening areas darker than 50% gray and lightening areas lighter than 50% gray. Overlay multiplies or screens the colors, depending on the base color. Patterns or colors overlay the existing pixels while preserving the highlights and shadows of the base color. The base color is not replaced, but is instead mixed with the blend color to reflect the lightness or darkness of the original color. Soft light darkens or lightens the colors, depending on the blend color. This effect is similar to shining a diffused spotlight on the image. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened. Blending with pure black or white produces a distinctly darker or lighter area, but does not result in pure black or white. Hard light multiplies or screens the colors depending on the blend color. The effect is similar to shining a harsh spotlight on the image. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened, as if it were screened. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened, as if it were multiplied. This mode is useful for adding shadows to an image. Vivid light burns or dodges the colors by increasing or decreasing the contrast, depending on the blend color. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened by decreasing the contrast. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened by increasing the contrast. Linear light burns or dodges the colors by decreasing or increasing the brightness, depending on the blend color. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened by increasing the brightness. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened by decreasing the brightness. Pin light replaces the colors, depending on the blend color. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, pixels darker than the blend color are replaced, and pixels lighter than the blend color do not change. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, pixels lighter than the blend color are replaced, and pixels darker than the blend color do not change. Hard mix adds the red, green, and blue channel values of the blend color to the RGB values of the base color. If the resulting sum for a channel is 255 or greater, it receives a value of 255. If it is less than 255, it receives a value of 0. Therefore, all blended pixels have red, green, and blue channel values of either 0 or 255. This changes all pixels to the primary additive colors, red, green, or blue, white, or black. Next, we have the comparative group. These modes create results based on comparing or inverting colors between layers. Difference looks at the color information in each channel and subtracts either the blend mode from the base color or the base color from the blend color, depending on which has the greater brightness color value. Blending with white inverts the base color values. Blending with black produces no change. Exclusion creates an effect similar but lower in contrast to difference mode. Blending with white inverts the base color values. Blending with black produces no change. Subtract looks at the color information in each channel and subtracts the blend color from the base color. In 8 and 16-bit images, which are the primary ones we work with, any resulting negative values are clipped to 0. Divide looks at the color information in each channel and divides the base color by the blend color. Lastly, we have the HSL group. This category works to alter color quality. It uses a combination of white along with primary colors such as red, green, blue for the additive color wheel, and cyan, magenta, yellow, and black for the subtractive color wheel to create the blending mode. Hue creates a result color with the luminance and saturation of the base color and the hue of the blend color. Saturation creates a result color with the luminance and hue of the base color and the saturation of the blend color. Painting with this mode in an area with no saturation, that is, pure gray, causes no change. Color creates a result color with the luminance of the base color and the hue and saturation of the blend color. This preserves the gray levels in the image and is useful for coloring monochrome images and for tinting color images. Luminosity creates a result color with the hue and saturation of the base color and the luminance of the blend color. This mode creates the inverse effect of color mode. I know that was a surprising amount of math for an art class and that you may not completely understand them. I certainly don't completely understand some of the terms and how it exactly works. Like I've said in a lot of previous things, the best way to really get a feel for how these work is to experiment with them and see how they work. I hope that the demonstration, as I talked about them, kind of helped you understand how each of these worked. Now, for the submission part of this assignment, I want you to apply a blending mode to our vibrant red rose layer. Then I want you to use adjustment layers to create a solid color or gradient adjustment layer above both image layers. Then apply some sort of blending mode to the solid color or gradient adjustment layer. I want to be able to see both the rose and the hand touching glass when you have applied all of your different blending modes across these layers. Once you have done putting together this composite image, I want you to name your file as follows, with your first name, last name, and then blending mode assignment. For example, mine would be called Susie Crane Blending Mode Assignment.psd. Then I want you to place this within your assignments folder in your AVC 177 Google Drive folder. Then copy the link to this document and paste it within the Canvas submission box. And once you submit that, you will have completed this assignment. I hope that you feel that you've learned a lot. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, or you just need me to go over this a little bit more in detail or in a slightly different way, feel free to message me on Canvas or look at the supplemental materials I have put in the Canvas box. I hope you all have a great one, and I will talk to you later.